What if I told you that 5 of the most popular haircuts for women over 60 are actually working against your confidence, and most stylists will never tell you why? Today, we're breaking the silence. I'll show you the real science and psychology behind what actually works for mature hair, so you can walk into your next salon visit feeling empowered, not invisible. In this video, you'll get a practical, evidence-based guide to 5 cuts that just don't serve women over 60 anymore, plus what to ask for instead. Everything here is grounded in science, real experience, and the belief that your beauty deserves to be seen at any age. If your hair used to feel thick and lively but now seems to fall flat, or the styles that once felt flattering just don't work anymore, you're not imagining things. The real reason? Most advice is stuck in the past, or just pushes you to chase after youth. But you don't need to hide your age. You just need a haircut that works with you, not against you. So today, I'll show you which cuts tend to drag your features down and how to spot them at home. You'll also get clear, empowering language for your stylist, and one secret most salons never share, but that can completely change how you feel about your hair. Let's start with a quick mirror test. Grab a mirror if you can, and let's see how your current cut is really working for you. Ready? Let's dive in. All right, let's actually try that mirror test together, because sometimes seeing your hair from a new angle reveals more than any advice ever could. Go ahead, pick up your mirror. Take a moment and look at how your hair frames your face right now. With your fingers, gently touch the crown of your head. Does it feel flat, or is there some lift? Now trace along your jawline. Are the lines soft and framing, or does your style seem to be pulling everything downward? You might notice that the cut you loved years ago isn't lifting your features the way it used to, or those new silver strands have a texture you're still getting used to. So why does this matter so much? Here's where the psychology comes in. Research actually shows that as we age, there's a growing gap between how we feel inside our energy, our personality, and what we see reflected back in the mirror. Psychologists call this the self-concept gap. When your hair no longer matches the way you see yourself, it can quietly chip away at your confidence, even affect how you show up in daily life. In fact, studies find that women who feel good about their hair are more likely to feel socially connected and positive, even more so after 60. It's not vanity, it's a reflection of being seen, being recognized, and feeling like yourself. Now, there's real biology behind why all these changes happen. As we age, hair follicles shrink, so each new strand grows in finer. Hormonal changes, especially drops in estrogen or shifts in thyroid, mean there's less overall fullness and bounce. Those beautiful silver and white strands? They tend to have a rougher outer cuticle but less internal volume, which means they can feel coarser but are actually more delicate and sometimes appear see-through. Add to that the way our facial structure naturally evolves a softer jawline, cheekbones that lose some definition, and suddenly, the old rules and familiar cuts aren't lifting and framing the way they once did. Before we get to the 5 haircut traps you'll want to avoid, let's set a new standard one that fits your life right now. Here are the 3 design principles for mature hair that actually work with you, not against you. Lift. Look for shapes that draw the eye upward, bringing light and energy back to your face. Frame. Choose styles that softly outline and celebrate your favorite angles. Soften. Prioritize movement and gentle layering, so nothing looks harsh or severe. Keep these in mind as we go forward, because once you understand the science and the psychology, you can walk into any salon with a new level of confidence and clarity. Let's start by looking at the first big trap and how to move beyond it for good. Let's shift gears for a moment and talk about something that seems classic but quietly works against most women over 60, the blunt cut. There's a reason these styles are so tempting. On the surface, they look put together, simple, tidy, and often described as timeless. It's easy to see why they're a go-to, especially when we want hair that's straightforward to manage and doesn't require hours in front of the mirror. But there's a catch that rarely gets mentioned. Think about those one-length bobs, heavy lobs, or straight lines that promise sleekness. For hair that's finer or less dense, These cuts can actually do the opposite of what we want. Instead of giving shape and movement, they create a harsh edge, a straight line that draws the eye down and flattens natural volume. When hair sits in a solid sheet, every thinning area or uneven patch becomes even more obvious. You might have noticed this if you've ever looked at your side profile or caught yourself in the mirror under bright lights. That moment where the style feels a little severe, or your face seems to lose its lift. So, how do you know if your cut is quietly working against you? One way to spot it is by looking at how your hair falls around your face and jaw. If the ends land in a single, heavy line and you notice your features don't look as lively as you'd like, it could be the blunt effect at work. But you don't have to make a drastic change. By adding light, face-framing layers, especially around the cheeks and jaw, you instantly give lift and dimension. The hair moves, catches the light, and suddenly, there's energy again. Here's a little tool you can take straight to the salon. When you're ready for a refresh, ask your stylist, could we add some gentle layers to frame my face and bring more lift up top? Or, if you prefer specifics, I'd love a few face-framing layers, especially around the crown and jawline. If you want to see this difference in real time, try this. Stand in front of a mirror and use your fingers to softly lift the hair around your crown and cheeks. Notice how even a tiny bit of lift transforms the whole look. But if you think the blunt cut is the only culprit, wait until you see how another common style, one that's meant to be easy, can actually do even more to dampen your natural spark. Let's explore what happens when the pixie goes wrong and how to turn it into your signature statement instead. Now, let's talk about a style that's almost a rite of passage for women over 60, the pixie cut. It's easy to see why so many choose it. The pixie promises low maintenance, and there's something freeing about short hair, no more fussing with tangles or endless products. But here's where the story takes a turn. What no one tells you is that the wrong kind of pixie can backfire in subtle ways. When a cut is too tight, flat, or all one length, it can actually highlight the very things we'd rather not draw attention to, like a thinner crown or softer jawline. Instead of giving you energy and movement, a boxy or helmet-like pixie can make your features disappear into the background. Let's get specific. Imagine two versions of the pixie. One is cropped closely on the sides and lays flat on top, almost rigid. The other? It's feathered, with gentle lift at the crown, softly tapered edges around the ears, and nape deliberately imperfect, but full of movement. That difference in shape completely changes the vibe. The modern, empowering pixie lifts your whole expression. It's not about hiding. It's about letting your features stand out in the best way. If you've ever walked out of the salon with a shortcut that felt a little off, maybe too sharp, it might have been missing that crown volume and softness. So, how do you ask for a pixie that really flatters? Next time, try these phrases. I'd love a little feathering through the crown and some volume at the roots. Or, can you keep the edges around my ears and neckline soft instead of blunt? At home, a few tweaks in styling make all the difference. Skip the heavy gels and rigid sprays. Instead, work a small amount of lightweight mousse or texture cream through damp hair, then use your fingers to gently tousle, especially at the crown. Let the hair air dry for natural lift, and resist the urge to flatten or perfect every strand. The magic is in the movement. Choosing a pixie with softness and volume isn't about chasing youth, it's about amplifying your presence. The right shape frames your smile and gives you a signature look that says, "This is me, confident and visible." And here's the exciting part. When you start to see your hair as a way to express your vitality, every day feels a little lighter. But what if you're stuck in that awkward middle length? Up next, we'll reveal why neck-noodle cuts rarely deliver and how a small tweak can make your jawline and energy pop. Let's move on to a style that quietly trips up so many women in this age group. Those in-between, neck-length cuts. They sound practical at first, just long enough to tie back, not so short that you lose your length entirely. But here's what rarely gets discussed. These midway cuts have a sneaky habit of pulling everything down. Picture this hair that hovers right at the neck, with ends that tend to curl outward or collapse against the shoulders. The overall effect? Instead of energizing your features, It often emphasizes a softer jawline and can actually age the neck area. Now, you might wonder, why do so many of us end up with this shape? It usually happens while growing out a shorter style, or when we're not quite ready for a dramatic change. The intention is good, but the result can feel unfinished, almost like the cut doesn't know what it wants to be. Here's where face geometry comes in. Cuts that land at the chin or just above have a totally different impact. They create instant lift and help visually tighten the jawline. It's a subtle shift, but the difference in energy is immediate. So, how can you spot a neck-noodle cut? Watch for hair that's all one length, sits at the neck, and lacks movement or shaping around the face. If you catch yourself tucking it behind your ears all day, or if the ends flip awkwardly, that's a clue the cut isn't working for you. But here's the simple fix. Next time you're at the salon, ask for chin-length layers with a soft inward curve. Not only does this bring everything up and forward, but it frames your face beautifully, giving the illusion of a more defined jaw and adding that sense of lightness we all crave. If you want to try it right now, stand in front of your mirror and gently lift your hair so it sits at chin level. Take a good look. Notice how your eyes seem brighter, your smile a little more lifted, and your overall energy changes in an instant. The power here isn't just about style, it's about designing a look that works with you, bringing out your best features every single day. This one change alone can be a game changer. But if you've ever wondered about going longer, let's uncover why stringy length is often the real culprit behind tired-looking hair and how the right cut can bring back fullness, movement, and confidence. Now let's talk about long hair, because for so many women, letting go of length can feel like letting go of a piece of ourselves. There's nostalgia in it. The idea that long hair equals femininity or vibrancy is strong, especially after decades of seeing it celebrated everywhere. But here's where reality starts to creep in. After 60, hair naturally gets finer, and those long, single-length styles can actually make the hair look even thinner. Instead of the youthful fullness we remember, we end up with strands that appear see-through, dragging features down and making the scalp more visible. Have you ever caught a glimpse in the mirror and noticed that, rather than framing your face, long hair just sort of hangs, lacking body, bounce, or that effortless swing? That's not just your imagination. As hair loses density, the longer it is, the more it emphasizes what's missing, especially around the temples and crown. So how do you know when long has turned into stringy? Watch for signs like visible scalp, hair that clumps into narrow sections, or a silhouette that's limp instead of soft and full. If it feels like you're always trying to fluff it up but nothing works, chances are the length is working against you, not for you. Here's the shift that changes everything. Transition from one-length long hair to a shoulder-grazing cut with internal layers. This doesn't mean giving up length entirely, it's about creating space for movement and instant fullness. Layers allow hair to lift away from the scalp, catch the light, and add that sense of airiness that brings energy right back to your face. And if you're embracing your natural silver or white, this is the moment to let it shine. A shoulder-length cut with gentle layers not only brings out the best in your color, but also works with light-reflecting products to make every strand look more vibrant. Here's what you can say at your next salon visit. I'd love to keep the length brushing my shoulders, but can we add internal layers for extra bounce and movement? At home, lean into that natural body by using a light volumizing mousse or shine spray. Let hair air dry, or flip your head upside down for a little extra lift at the roots. It's all about easy tricks that work with the hair you have right now. Choosing volume and movement isn't just a style upgrade, it's a mindset shift. You're not holding on to the past. You're creating a look that reflects who you are today, radiant, visible, and full of presence. We've covered shape, movement, and length. But what about color? Up next, let's uncover the biggest myth about dyeing aging hair and why the real secret to a stunning look is all in the blend. Let's shift focus for a minute because there's one fix that's been pushed on women over 60 more than any other. Color. How many times have we heard that the solution is just a different shade, a new box of dye, or covering every last silver strand? There's a whole industry built around the idea that color alone can turn back the clock. But here's what's rarely said out loud. Focusing only on color often disappoints, especially as hair texture changes with age. Dark, flat dye jobs can actually draw attention to thinning or accentuate a dry texture. And those relentless root touch-ups? They get old fast, and the upkeep never really ends. The truth is, when you let the shape and volume of your cut lead the way, color becomes the supporting act, not the main event. A great haircut can make your natural silver shine, framing your face and bringing out your eyes. Instead of hiding what's real, you're highlighting the beauty that's already there. If you still want a little dimension, gentle highlights or lowlights can soften the transition between tones. The key is subtlety, less about hiding, more about blending. The goal is a luminous, architectural effect that flatters your skin and gives your hair a sense of movement. Here's how to approach your next salon conversation. I'd like to embrace my natural silver, but let's focus on shape and volume first. If we add color, can we keep it soft, maybe just a few highlights for extra glow? And when it comes to caring for silver or blended hair at home, reach for a good purple or silver shampoo, and keep products light so your hair stays shiny and defined, not weighed down. Choosing a style that celebrates your hair's natural tone and movement is a statement, one that says you're not chasing someone else's standard of beauty. You're writing your own. That's the shift that changes everything, because when your hair reflects who you are, confidence follows, naturally. And now that you've got the tools and language, what happens next is entirely in your hands. So now you've seen how the right haircut isn't about chasing trends or covering up who you are. It's about lifting your features, matching your energy, and feeling truly visible again. If you've watched this far, you already know that even small, intentional changes can make a difference. The way you look at yourself in the mirror each morning, that ripple of confidence starts there and spreads to everything else you do. Here's what to do next. Grab a mirror, try out the lift and frame tests we practiced, and see how your current cut stacks up. Then, take the language and tips from this video to your next salon visit. Show your stylist exactly what you want, and don't be afraid to advocate for a cut that makes you feel your best. And here's something even more powerful. Share your journey. Drop a comment below, maybe a before and after, a tip that worked for you, or even a question you're still figuring out. Chances are, your story will help someone else feel seen too. If you found a tip that clicked, screenshot it or write it down before your next appointment. And if you're ready for more support, connect with the women in the comments. Ask questions, swap advice, and keep this conversation going. We're building something bigger here, a place where every woman over 60 feels empowered to show up, shine, and take up space. Just remember, we're not rewriting beauty to fit someone else's mold. We're redefining it on our own terms, every single day, with every cut, every comment, every step forward. Thank you for spending this time with me. If you found value here, don't forget to subscribe for more practical guides and empowering conversations. Until next time, keep showing up, keep shining, and never settle for feeling invisible, because your presence is your power.